I poisoned my husband's scotch that night, watching the ice melt into oblivion as the amber liquid swirled with my secret. It wasn't murder. It was mercy, or so I told myself, because living as him any longer would have driven me to something far worse. But when his eyes bulged and he clawed at his throat, gasping my name in a voice that was mine, I realized the swap had gone both ways, and the real revenge was just beginning. The text came during appetizers, buzzing against my thigh like a hornet trapped in silk. "Don't drink the juice. They're planning something." And signed, from a burner number I'd never seen. I glanced up from the linen-draped table at Le Cirque, where the clink of silverware and murmur of Manhattan's moneyed elite drowned out the storm raging outside. My husband, Victor Hale, sat across from me, his Rolex glinting under the chandelier as he laughed too loudly at Senator Langford's joke. Victor's laugh. God, it used to make my stomach flip back when we were Gemma and Vic, the golden couple of Wall Street. Now it grated like nails on a chalkboard, especially since it came from lips that weren't his. I was Gemma Hale, or at least I had been until 3 months ago. 34, brunette with a pixie cut that said fierce but fuckable, a rising star in forensic accounting at Deloitte until the SEC raid turned my life into a bad Lifetime movie. Framed for embezzling $12 million from Victor's hedge fund, Hale Capital. The evidence? Forged ledgers in my handwriting, emails from my IP address routing funds to offshore shells. I took the fall, 15 years in federal prison, my reputation shredded like confetti at a bear market party. Victor? He walked, tears in his eyes at the sentencing, swearing eternal love from the front row. She was under stress, he told the judge, voice cracking just right. The jury ate it up. I didn't. Prison was a special hell for white-collar types like me. No shankings, just endless gray days in Danbury, Connecticut, where the coffee tasted like regret and the guards eyed you like fresh meat. That's where I met Dr. Elias Crow, the disgraced neuroscientist doing time for unethical experiments on death row inmates. Bald, bespectacled, with a voice like gravel in a blender, he cornered me in the library one afternoon. "Ever wonder if souls could trade places?" He'd whisper, his eyes gleaming like he was pitching Bitcoin in 2011. Turns out, Crow had been tinkering with neural mapping, uploading consciousness via some black market quantum rig smuggled in parts. Body swaps, he called it. Not magic. Science. But it needs a catalyst. Strong emotion. Betrayal works best. I laughed at first. Then I stopped sleeping, replaying Victor's testimony on loop. How he'd discovered the discrepancies, how he'd begged me to come clean. Lies. All of it. The real thief was Victor himself, siphoning funds to cover his gambling debts to the Russian mob, debts that started when he fucked his way through the firm's interns, including my kid sister, Lila. She confessed to me in tears 6 months before the bust. He said he'd leave you, Jem. But then he just laughed. I covered for her, deleted the texts, because family, because love. And Victor knew it. He weaponized it. Crow offered me a deal. Fund his release, $50K wired from a dummy account, and he'd rig the swap. One night, he said. You in his body, him in yours. Poetic justice. But it's unstable. 24 hours max before it snaps back. I scraped the cash from my 401k, the last of my dignity. The procedure happened in an abandoned warehouse in the Bronx, electrodes humming like angry bees as Crow muttered incantations that were probably just code. Pain like lightning through my veins, then blackness. I woke up in Victor's penthouse on the Upper East Side, staring at a ceiling painted like the Sistine Chapel if Michelangelo had a coke habit. His body, tall, broad-shouldered, the kind that filled out Tom Ford's suits like a GQ ad. I flexed his fingers, felt the unfamiliar weight of his wedding ring biting into the skin. Mirror confirmed it. Victor Hale stared back, salt and pepper hair tousled, blue eyes wide with my panic. Down the hall, in his bed, my body stirred. Victor, trapped in Gemma's frame, bolted upright, screaming in my voice. What the fuck did you do? We fought like alley cats, his smaller fists surprisingly vicious against my borrowed bulk. You bitch, he snarled, clawing at my face. This is assault. I'll have you locked up forever. I pinned him down, my voice booming out in Victor's baritone. Locked up? Like you did me? For your goddamn poker losses. He went still, realization dawning. Gemma? How? I told him everything, the frame job, Lila, Crow's mad science. His face crumpled, not in remorse, but calculation. Okay, listen. We switch back. No one knows. I can fix this. But I wasn't there for fixes. I was there for fire. By dawn, I'd zip-tied him to the four-poster, gagged with one of his silk ties. Enjoy the view, Vic. I've got a day to burn your empire down. He thrashed, eyes wild, but I was already in his walk-in closet, slipping into bespoke wool that smelled of his cologne, sandalwood and deceit. First stop, the office. Hale Capital occupied the top 3 floors of a glass monolith on Park Avenue, all marble lobbies and interns who called me sir, without a second glance. Victor's assistant, Brooke, blonde, ambitious, the one who'd accidentally forwarded me those incriminating emails, handed me his schedule with a flirtatious smile. Rough night, Mr. Hale? You look intense. I forced his charming grin. You have no idea, Brooke. In the elevator, I hacked his phone, fingerprint scan bypassed with a quick prick from his letter opener. Text to the mob fixer. Payment delayed. Need extension. Emails to Senator Langford. Lobbying fees wired. Vote yes on the deregulation bill. The betrayal deepened. Victor wasn't just stealing from clients. He was selling out the market for political favors, turning our nest egg into a ticking bomb. By noon, I'd leaked it all to the Times' anonymous tip line, routing through a VPN Crow had set up. Hale Capital. Inside the scandal. The headline would scream tomorrow. But that was child's play. The real gut punch waited at lunch, with Langford, the silver-haired power broker who'd greased Victor's wheels for years. We met at the Four Seasons, Power Salads, and Power Plays. Langford clapped me on the back. Vic, old boy, that deregulation vote? It's in the bag. Your donation sealed it. I nodded, sipping Victor's club soda, my mind racing. Langford was the hidden secret, the senator who'd buried the initial investigation into Hale's irregularities, all for a cut of the pie. And the crime I'd borne? Not just embezzlement. Manslaughter. Victor's reckless trades had tanked a pension fund, leading to suicides, widows jumping from ledges in Queens. I'd confessed to one, forged, to protect him. Stress, the DA called it. Me, the scapegoat. As the waiter poured wine, my phone, Victor's phone, buzzed. The text. Don't drink the juice. They're planning something. Heart hammering, I scanned the room. No one suspicious, just the usual suits. But Langford's eyes lingered too long on my glass. Paranoia? Or truth? I excused myself to the restroom, splashing water on Victor's face, my face now, and dialing the burner trace app Crow installed. Origin, Lila's number. My sister. The betrayer who'd started this chain. Rage boiled over. Lila, who'd sworn it was a fling, but texts reveal more. Vic says Gemma's out soon. We can be together. She'd known about the frame-up, helped plant the evidence. Family? Bullshit. I stormed back, but Langford was gone. Bill settled. A note on the table. Loose ends. Vic, handle your wife.
Juice.
Poison? No, metaphor. They'd planned to handle me, the real me, rotting in Danbury. Victor's mob ties, calling in favors to ensure I never talked. I raced back to the penthouse, the city blurring into steel and spite. Victor, in my body, had wormed free, the zip ties chewed through with a nail file. He lunged, syringe in hand. Crow's leftover sedative? You think you can ruin me? He hissed in my soprano. We grappled, crashing through a Ming vase, shards drawing blood that was neither mine nor his. I overpowered him, slamming his head against the marble counter. Crack. He slumped, my face slack with unconsciousness. Tied again, this time to the balcony railing overlooking Central Park. Dusk fell, the city lights winking like conspirators. Why, Vic? I demanded, his voice steady now. He spat blood, my lips curled in his sneer. You were always too good, Gemma. Too honest. I need it out. Lila. She gets it. Power. Not your bullshit integrity. Confession poured out. The debts, the senator's cover-up, even the swap intel. He bribed Crow months ago, planning to frame me for his disappearance if things went south. The text from Lila confirmed it. She'd sent the warning to throw me off, make me sloppy. Controversial decision time. Do I end him here, push my body off the edge into the abyss below? Mercy killing, American style, Darwinian justice for the elite. Or drag him to the feds, watch him rot as Gemma Hale, the mad fraudster who killed her husband? My finger hovered over 911. That's when the twist hit. A chime from his phone, Crow's number. Swap inverting. Truth serum in the air vents. Victor's dosing you. Gas. Hallucinations flooded. Memories not mine. Victor's childhood abuse. His father's suicide after a market crash. My confession to the widow? Forged by me, yes, but under duress. Victor holding Lila at knife point. I'd taken the blame to save her. But deeper, I knew about the trades. Enabled them. Laundered a check here. Fudged a report there. Complicit. The betrayal was mutual, a toxic tango we'd danced for years. He laughed, weak but triumphant. See? We're the same, Gem. Monsters in love. The city held below, sirens wailing like lost souls. I untied him, the swaps pull tugging at my edges. As our consciousnesses blurred back, I whispered, "Then, let's end the dance." I handed him the syringe, lethal dose, his own stash. His eyes, my eyes, widened. Choice. He injects me in his body. Or himself. He chose himself. Slumped against the railing. Victor Hale faded, Gemma's body crumpling like a discarded dress. I snapped back into myself, gasping on the cold floor, the penthouse silent save for the rain. Cops would call it suicide, overwhelmed by the leaks hitting the wires. Senator Langford? Resigned by morning, Lila fleeing to Europe on a one-way. Was it justice? Or murder by proxy? The papers debated it for weeks. Hale's tragic end, victim or villain? I walked free, inherited the fund, cleaned it up, donated half to suicide prevention. But at night, I feel his laugh in my throat, wonder if the swap left echoes. Revenge tasted sweet, like forbidden juice. But damn if it didn't leave a bitter aftertaste. The funeral was a circus, black limos snaking through Riverside like funeral pythons, paparazzi buzzing at the gates with drones that looked like mechanical vultures. I stood there in my little black sheath, the grieving widow, accepting condolences from men who'd probably shorted Hale's stock that morning. Such a tragedy, they murmured, hands lingering on my elbow a beat too long. Vic was one of us. One of them. Not me. Never me. But in the haze of those first weeks post-swap, I'd played the part to perfection. Tear-streaked press conferences, a Vogue interview where I bravely vowed to rebuild. Inside, I was hollow, the echo of his voice still rattling in my skull like loose change. Lila showed up uninvited, slinking in from JFK the night before, her designer trench dripping Manhattan rain. My sister, 28 to my 34, with our mother's cheekbones and a father's wanderlust that led her straight to Victor's bed. She hugged me at the graveside, whispering, "I'm so sorry, Gem. For everything." Her perfume, Chanel No. 5, the one I'd bought her for her 21st, clung like guilt. I pulled back, studying her face. Porcelain skin, eyes red from crying or cocaine. It was hard to tell. Everything. I echoed, my voice a whisper lost in the rabbi's drone. She'd skipped town after the leaks, posting cryptic Instagrams from Santorini, sunsets and Sauvignon, captions like new chapters. Now here she was, playing penitent. We drove back to the penthouse in silence, the driver navigating gridlock like a pro. Fifth Avenue glittered with holiday lights. Early December, the city decking itself in denial while I buried my husband. Or what was left of him? The autopsy? Self-administered overdose. The me ruled. No note, but my 911 call painted the picture. I came home early. Found him. God, Vic. I'd staged it meticulously. His phone open to the Times expose, empty vial by his hand.
Clean.
Inside, with the doorman tipping his hat and the elevator humming a scent, Lila finally cracked. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Vicky promised it'd just be a warning. The frame job was to scare you, make you back off the audits. Back off. I'd been closing in on the irregularities for months. Late-night spreadsheets that showed phantom trades, client funds vanishing into ether. Victor had caught wind, confronted me in our kitchen with a steak knife trembling in his fist. Drop it, Gemma. Or Lila pays. I dropped it, all right. Falsified the finals to match his story. Complicity, thy name is love. She poured us Scotch. Victor's Macallan, the irony thick as the peat, from the bar cart, her hands shaking. He hit me, you know, after you went down. Said I'd ruined his life by telling you. Lies layered on lies. I sipped, the burn grounding me. Telling me what, exactly? That you were fucking my husband? Or that you helped him bury the bodies, financially speaking? Her face blanched. The mob angle. Victor's debts weren't just poker. He'd laundered for the Brodva, using Hale Capital as a sieve. Lila's internship at the firm? Code for courier, shuttling cash in her Birkin to Brighton Beach meets. The text she'd sent, "Don't drink the juice," was her half-assed Hail Mary, meant to spook me during the swap, make me bolt and look guilty. But Crow had looped her in. She'd been the one wiring the $50,000, thinking it was for Victor's escape plan. Betrayal's family tree branched wide. I set the glass down, the clink echoing like a gavel. You chose him over me. Blood over water?
No, Lil.
You chose power. She lunged then, not with fists but words, a torrent of accusations. You were always the perfect one. Mom's favorite, Dad's legacy. I was the screw-up, the one who had to hustle. Vic saw me, really saw me. Hysteria bubbled, mascara streaking. Controversial urge. Slap her, the sister who'd shared my dolls and secrets, now a stranger in stilettos. Instead, I handed her a folder, Brooks doing, the assistant who'd flipped after I promised her a corner office. Inside, emails, timestamps synced to our family holidays. Lila signing off on the widow's confession script, her initials on the forged ledger. She crumpled, sobbing into the Persian rug. Mercy flickered, family, after all. But revenge whispered louder. Get out, I said, voice steel. Before I call the feds. Obstruction of justice carries 10 years. She fled, cab fare clutched in her fist, leaving behind a single earring. Gold hoops I'd gifted her prom night. Alone, the penthouse closed in, walls whispering Victor's ghost. I poured another Scotch, heavier this time, and scrolled my contacts. Langford's number topped the list, speed dial too. The senator had slithered back into the woodwork post-resignation, peddling influence from a K Street firm.
Vic?
That you. His voice, oily as ever, when I called from the landline. Heard about the funeral. Tough break. I let silence stretch then. It's Gemma. And I know about the 94 Cayman flight. The one with the underage models and the kilo in the hold.
Bluff.
Half bluff. Crow's files, pieced from prison whispers, hinted at Langford skeletons, youth dirt from his Playboy days. But it landed. What do you want?
Squeak of panic. The truth, I lied.
On tape. For the podcast. He laughed, nervous. Blackmail? Classy, Mrs. Hale. We met at his McLean estate 2 days later. Virginia's horse country, a far cry from my concrete jungle. The drive down I-95 was therapy, radio blasting Springsteen, windows down, wind whipping lies from my hair. Langford's cottage was a mansion, columns like teeth grinning white. He greeted me in chinos and loafers, bourbon in hand.
Gemma Hale.
The ice queen thaws. We toured the grounds, stables, pool house, his arm brushing mine in feigned camaraderie. Vic was sloppy. He admitted over cigars on the veranda, sunset bleeding red. But you? Taking the fall? Noble. Stupid. The secret he guarded, not just the cover-up, but the origin. Langford had recruited Victor fresh out of Wharton, groomed him for the game. The first mistake, a rigged IPO that bankrupted a steel town in Pennsylvania. Suicides followed, including our neighbor's dad, who jumped from the Triborough after losing his nest egg. I'd borne that too, unknowingly at first. Signed the disclosures as junior analyst. Blind faith in Vic. You made him, I said, recorder hidden in my clutch. A monster. He leaned in, breath hot with Scotch. And you loved it. The yachts, the galas. Don't play victim. Truth stung. We'd summered in the Hamptons on blood money, toasted at Met balls with tainted champagne.
Complicit again.
The controversial pivot. I could have walked away, podcast gold in pocket. Exposed him, watched his empire crumble like Victor's. But power's addictive. Partner up, I proposed instead. Hail Capital 2.0.
Clean.
But I run point. His eyes narrowed, calculating. Blackmail to boardroom? Ballsy. We shook on it, his ringed hand clammy in mine. Betrayal's flip. I became the villain, trading justice for a seat at the table. Debatable? Hell yes. Empowerment or sellout? The headlines would argue. Back in the city, the fund rebranded. Hail Legacy Partners. I hired ethical hackers, audited every cent clients trickled back. Widows first, irony thick. Brooke ran ops, her loyalty bought with equity. Nights, though, the swap haunted. Phantom itches where Victor's tattoos had been, dreams of his laugh morphing into mine. Lila texted once. Forgive. Deleted, unread. Then the mob came calling. Not subtle. A black SUV tailing me from Whole Foods, goons in tracksuits loitering outside the gym. Victor's debts, $8 mill outstanding. They cornered me in the garage one fog-shrouded dawn. The leader, tattooed neck, gold tooth grinning. Mrs. Hale. Vic stiffed us. You settle. I straightened, channeling his bravado. Vic's dead. Funds mine. Terms? Negotiation in the shadows. 20% equity for silence. I signed over shares, hands steady. Another layer peeled me. The money launderer now, full circle. Langford's first board meeting was theater. Virginia drawl pitching green energy scams, me countering with real ESG plays. Tension crackled, his foot tapping under the table like a bomb tick. Post-meeting, in his office, he poured cognac. You're good, Gemma. Vic underestimated you. Warning or flirt? I smiled, slipping a USB into his desk. Crow's final gift, quantum code to enhance neural maps. And you underestimate science. Winter gripped New York like a grudge, snowplows growling through canyons of slush as I plotted my next move from the war room. Victor's old study, now mine, walls lined with Bloomberg terminals humming data like angry gods. Hale Legacy was bleeding cash, Langford's innovations, tanking returns faster than a Trump tweet in 2016. Investors whispered defection. The SEC circled like sharks scenting chum. But I thrived on it. The tension coiling in my gut like a spring. Revenge wasn't a sprint. It was a marathon through moral minefields. Every step a controversial calculus. Burn it all, or build from the ashes. Lila resurfaced in February, a ghost in my DMs. Need to talk. It's about Mom. Our mother, dead 5 years from pancreatic. Quick, merciless, the kind that leaves no goodbyes. She doted on me, the responsible one, while Lila chased shadows. Curiosity or trap? We met at a dive in Hell's Kitchen, neon buzzing O'Leary's, over a door scarred by decades of drunks. She slid into the booth, gaunt under the fluorescence, track marks faint on her arms. Rehab, she said, preempting my stare. Cold turkey. Vic's ghost. It broke me. Over flat beers, the floodgates cracked. Mom's secret, not cancer, but suicide. Pills in the guest bath, note blaming, the lies we tell for love. Victor had confessed to her, post-frame. My complicity, the widow's jump he'd orchestrated to silence her. He pushed her, Lila wept. Said she'd spill, if we didn't pay. The betrayal deepened to abyss. Mom, who'd baked us snickerdoodles and dreamed of grandkids, collateral in our game. I'd borne her grief too, holding her hand through chemo charade, never suspecting. Rage, fresh and feral, surged. Controversial decree. Forgive Lila?
No.
Weaponize her. Help me end it, I said, sliding a napkin with Langford's schedule. Infiltrate his gala. Get me the keys. She nodded, eyes hollow but resolute. Sisterhood's dark baptism. Blood debt repaid in espionage. The gala was Beltway bling. Kennedy Center, chandeliers dripping light over tuxes and tits, power couples two-stepping to a string quartet massacre of uptown funk. Langford held court by the bar, his arm candy of former Miss Virginia half his age. Lila, in borrowed Versace, played in turn, flirty laugh, champagne flute in hand. I watched from the shadows, Victor's ghost whispering doubts. She's playing you, Jem. Like she played me. But when she slipped me the RFID fob, access to his private server, I felt the thrill of the hunt. Back in the city, midnight oil burned as I cracked his files. Not just deregulation bribes, but election hacks, foreign bots rigged to sway midterms, traceable to Hale's dark pool. The crime I'd shouldered? Amplified. Those suicides weren't isolated. Langford's policies had gutted regulations, crashing markets, lives lost in the fallout. I'd signed off on the initial lobby report, coffee-fueled and trusting Vic's vision. Innocent then, guilty now. Climax brewed in March, a board retreat at Langford's estate. Irony's encore. I arrived by chopper. Snowmelt turning lawns to mud, the air thick with unspoken threats. Dinner was farce. Venison and veiled barbs, Langford toasting to new beginnings with eyes like daggers. Post-repause, cigars in the library, brandy warming lies. Gemma, he drawled. Your returns are shit. Thinking buyout. Coup attempt, naked. I smiled, swirling my glass, the juice, metaphorically poisoned with truth. Or exposure. Your Cayman logs? Leaked by dawn. His face purpled. Bluff. I played the recording, his gala ramblings, slurred admissions. You killed them, Senator. The steelworkers, the widows. For what? A yacht club membership. He lunged, glass shattering, but security. My hires now, pinned him. Lila emerged from the alcove, phone streaming live to Reuters. Twist's prelude. Her redemption arc, or mine. Interrogation in the wine cellar, shadows dancing like demons. It was Vic's idea, he whined, sweat beading. The hacks, the suicides, he covered them, I enabled.
Lie.
Files showed Langford puppeteering from day one, Victor his eager puppet. But the deeper cut, Mom's note, digitized here, addressed to me. Forgive your sister. She didn't know. Didn't know? Lila had drafted the lobby memo that greenlit the deadly trades, high on Vic's promises. Controversial zenith. End him? A shove down the stairs. Accident like Vic's. Or mercy. Call the feds. Watch him trial fodder. I chose gray. The USB, Crow's code, plugged into his laptop. Neural enhancement. I lied. Relive it all. Every death, every dollar. Truth? It uploaded his consciousness to a loop, endless simulation of the jumps, the crashes. Sci-fi torture deniable. He thrashed as the rig hummed, eyes glazing. Monster, he gasped. We're all monsters. Lila watched, horrified.
Jem.
This. Debate ignited. Justice or cruelty. I untied him, left him catatonic for the ambulance. He'll confess, I said. Or not. Either way, he's done. The feds swooped pre-dawn, headlines exploding. Senator's digital demise. Hale widow key witness. Hale legacy soared, ethical halo gleaming. Lila stayed, sober sponsor turned COO. Tentative truce, family forged in fire. But nights, the swap echoed. Victor's voice in dreams. You enjoyed it, didn't you? Power's poison, seeping deep. Spring bloomed, cherry blossoms mocking my thorns. A new text buzzed. Crow, free on technicality. Ready for round 2? Secrets die hard. The twist inverted, not reversal, but revelation. I'd initiated the frame, subconsciously, planting a seed in Vic's doubt during a fight. If you loved me, you'd take the hit, I'd joked. He had. We both had. Monsters entwined. Summer scorched the city, heat waves warping Park Avenue into a mirage as Hale Legacy's IPO loomed like a guillotine blade, glory or gore. I'd rebuilt it brick by blood-soaked brick, divested the dirty assets, pivoted to impact investing, green bonds funding solar farms in the rust-belt towns Langford's greed had ravaged. Forbes dubbed me the Phoenix Financier, cover shot me in power red against a skyline ablaze. But the crown chafed. Victor's ghost lingered in boardroom echoes, his baritone bleeding into my closing arguments. Cutthroat gem. Just like me.
Was it?
Lila thrived, her edge honed, pitch decks laced with Brooklyn grit, closing deals I'd fumble with politeness. Our truce held, laced with therapy sessions in a Soho loft. You saved me, she'd say. From him. From myself. But secrets festered. One muggy July eve, post-yoga sweat still clinging, she cornered me in the kitchen, penthouse renovated, ghosts exorcised with faro and ball whites. The swap.
Crow told me everything.
You knew, didn't you? About Mom's part. Mom's part. The note's postscript, buried in Langford's server. She'd been his lover, decades back, and turn affair birthing. Us? No. Twisted genealogy. Mom had covered for him once a minor scandal, trading silence for stock tips that built our family's modest nest. Victor? Langford's protege, but Mom's warning to him. Leave my girls alone. He'd ignored it, seduced Lila as revenge, framed me as closure. The betrayal's root rotted deep, familial, generational, American dynasty of deceit. I denied it, glass of Pinot trembling. Crow lies. But the dreams intensified, not Victor's, but Langford's, flashes of Mom's laugh in his arms. My conception a calculated conquest? DNA test, midnight click on 23andMe, confirmed. Half-siblings Lila and I, Langford's spawn. Twist's cruel crown, the villain, my father. I'd avenged a ghost, built on his bones. Controversial crossroads. Confront? Destroy the results, bury the biobomb? Or weaponize, claim the inheritance, his Virginia vault stuffed with offshore loot. I chose annihilation. August board vote. Merge with a whistleblower pack. Expose the old guard. Langford, vegetative in a DC facility, twitched on the news. Neural loop leaking. Confessions dribbling to nurses. My daughters. Forgive. Public outcry. Mercy kill or let rot. Protests outside Hale HQ. Signs scrawling justice or eugenics. Lila found the test, confronted in tears. He's ours?
And you.
Hit it. Sobs turned to slaps, her palms stinging my cheek. We're poison, Gem. Just like him. Truth reversed, not victims, but vessels, carrying the cunning gene, the power lust. I'd swapped bodies, but souls? Entwined forever. Climax crashed in September, IPO Eve. Gala at the plaza, chandeliers weeping light over velvet ropes and venture vultures. Langford's proxy, his lawyer, slick as sin, approached, envelope in hand.
Will.
Yours if you sign. Billions tainted. I burned it in a crystal ashtray, flames dancing like demons. Tell Daddy thanks, but no. The lawyer smirked. He always said you'd be the death of him. Chaos erupted, servers hacked mid-toast, files dumping. Hale's clean, but Langford's filth cascading. SEC raid live-streamed, agents in windbreakers cuffing execs. Lila and I stood back to back, her hand in mine, facing the storm. Run, she whispered. Fight, I replied. Controversial endgame. Dissolve the fund, cede money to victims' trusts.
Bikik alcohol.
We walked out paupers, sisters scarred but standing. Crow called last, voice crackling from a Baja payphone. The swap? It stuck a fragment. You're part Vic now. Enjoy.
Click.
I laughed, hollow, his laugh my throat. Fall leaves crunched underfoot as Lila and I hailed a cab to Port Authority, Greyhound tickets to anywhere but here. Portland, she suggested. Coffee and reinvention. The city receded, skyline shrinking to memory. Revenge's bill. Freedom bought with fragments of self. Debatable denouement, triumph in tatters, or rebirth in ruins. Readers, you decide.
Me?
I sip Diner Joe, watch rain streak bus windows, and wonder, if souls swap, do we ever truly win?